Dear friends, welcome to the next session for software engineering and designing concepts. So in the previous section, we discussed about iterative waterfall model, prototyping model as well as evolutionary model. Today we will continue with the software development life cycle and discuss the spiral model. So let's get started. So spiral model was proposed by Boehm in 1988, and each loop of the spiral represents a phase of the software process. The inner loop might be concerned with system feasibility, the next loop with system requirements definition, the next one with the system design, and so on and so forth. However, you have to remember that there are no fixed phases in this model, which means whichever phase you feel like it will include in that particular model at that particular point of time. So this is the pictorial representation of the spiral model, where initially we have to determine the objectives of the model, and this is basically it relates to the plan of the entire project. So when you have the planning phase, it is also known as determining or identifying the objective of the particular project or particular product that you are going to develop. And after you have come to a conclusion that the objectives are identified and it has been listed down, so it will move to the next phase, which is identification and resolving of the risks. Now this is the unique parameter of the spiral model, because in other life cycle models you do not have this particular phase, that is identification of risk or detection of risk and steps to prevent them. After the risks are identified, we will move ahead to the next phase, which is developing the next level of the product, which is also known as your engineering phase. So engineering phase correlates to all the coding and development that would be required in that particular project for that particular phase. As I already mentioned in my previous slide, that there are no such fixed phases. At any point of time you can consider any phase. However, each of the circle would represent parts of that particular phase, after which the last and the final phase is attained, which is the customer evaluation of the prototype. So once it is developed, or once that phase is nearly completed with development, the customer is sent to a prototype for evaluation. So once the customer gives feedback, again the next phase will start. So here the customer actively participates in the entire development process, because there are several steps in a particular life cycle model, and each of these steps would be evaluated and verified by the customer. So moving ahead, this is the entire workflow of the spiral model in a flow diagram. So initially identify and understand the requirements, then do the risk analysis, finally build and test the software. So this is basically your first quadrant of the spiral model. This is the second quadrant of the spiral model, and this is the third quadrant of this spiral model, which is basically the engineering phase, and finally the fourth model. So once this particular spiral, or once this particular phase is completed for one circle, it moves to the next phase, which might be your requirement analysis or your coding and implementation stage. So the quadrant which we saw as this begins with the first quadrant here, continues with the second, then third, and then fourth. So the next we have slide represents the different phases and the activities performed that we have already discussed and the deliverables or output. So the first phase, which is the planning phase, basically its activities involve requirements are studied and gathered, then feasibility study and reviews and walkthroughs to streamline the requirements. Walkthroughs are basically certain discussions with the customer through which the customer will be walking the developer through the different features that they want to implement in their project. The output and the deliverables include requirement understanding, an SRS document or maybe a documented form of it, and finalized list of requirements. The planning phase essentially leads to the SRS as its output criteria. So in your SRS, all the details are given so that it makes easier for the customer as well as the developer to revert back or use it as a reference for development. The next is risk analysis. Here the requirements are studied and brainstorming sessions are done to identify the potential risks. Once the risks are identified, risk mitigation strategies is planned and finalized. Now risk may be of several types. It might be technical risk, it might be economical risk, it might be schedule risks, or it might be business related risks. So everything is handled in the risk analysis part, and once it is identified, risk mitigation strategy is planned and finalized. For example, suppose while developing or while discussing with the customer, the developer comes to a conclusion that it will require almost 10,000 rupees to build a particular software. However, during the brainstorming session, it was understood that whatever software version or whatever software product that was proposed and discussed initially could be utilized or installed in a particular operating system only. So in order to make it user friendly and adaptable to almost all types of operating system, it would involve more amount of money which might cross, let's say, 10,000. So which let's put the additional value to be around more another 5 or 6,000 would be required. So the total cost of building that software would be coming as 10,000 plus 6,000 in order to mitigate the technical risks. So at that point of time, the developer and the manager will find out strategies by which they could help to reduce this amount so that it becomes bearable by the customer and will not pose any challenge to the salary or to the economic factor of development. The document and the deliverables of this phase is a document which highlights all the risk and mitigation plans. So here also it is important that a document is generated. So with every phase you will see that there is a document which is associated. The next is the engineering phase or developing the product. So actual development and testing of the software takes place in this phase. So basically after the coding is done, the code should be available, the test cases and test results should be available, test summary report and defect report should be available. So once again there is this report concept. So documentation is there. The fourth and the final quadrant refers to the evaluation, where the customers evaluate the software and provide their feedback and approval. So this is already understood. The customer will be evaluate based on the SRS that was generated in the planning phase, and after he is satisfied that all the points in the SRS has been met, then the customer will send a feedback if he or she needs additional features or if he is satisfied with the entire development. So if he is happy with the entire development, it will he or she will give a go sign for the next phase. Otherwise If he needs additional features, the features will be implemented in a document, and this document will be sent to the developers. So it is very important that you document whatever is developed at each point of time. So only if you have a certain document associated with every phase, then only it becomes easier and less confusing for everyone to understand and implement the next phase. So next, when to use this spiral model? So basically, spiral model is used in the following scenarios when the project is large. Now, when we are talking about a large project, essentially it means it has many modules. There are a lot of modules associated with it, right? Now, so there are a lot of modules associated with it. Next, so when the next point is where the software needs continuous risk evaluation. So there are certain high-end products which will be requiring a lot of risk analysis involved in it. The software might break down at any point of time, or the software might need a certain amount of scalability in order to get it installed in a particular system, or it might be facing certain, or it might be vulnerable to certain threats, or it might be vulnerable to a delay in the development. So all these things, if a particular software requires, essentially we need to use the spiral model. The third point, why do we have to use a spiral model, is if your requirements are a bit complicated and requires continuous clarification. Now this is very interesting and important because continuous clarification refers to the participation of the customer in every phase of development, unlike the prototyping model where initially entire prototype is developed and then sent to the customer for evaluation. Here in a particular phase, each of the phase is completed and then sent to the customer for evaluation. So at each stages the customer would be able to participate in a better way as compared to your prototyping model. The software, the fourth important point is the software requires significant changes. So as days passes, the customer might realize that he might need additional features into his system. So at that point of time, he can introduce this in the form of a customer feedback, or certain projects where enough time frame is there to get end user feedback. So basically what happens is there might be certain amount of delay associated because every time a customer is involved, the customer will definitely take some time to evaluate and give their valuable feedback. So if the projects demand a quick delivery, then spiral model will not be a very useful model. However, if we feel that we have enough time for development and to entertain continuous user feedback, then we can go for a spiral model. And the last and an important point is where releases are required to be frequent. Now there are certain customers who needs to get updated regarding each of the release of their product. So at that point of time, the spiral model can be useful. So what are the different advantages of using a spiral model? First thing, the development is fast. Fast in the aspect that we will not be correcting errors, or we will not be going after incomplete, inconsistent and ambiguous information regarding the project, because there will be clear communication as well as clear risk analysis done before actual development of that particular project. We can use it for larger projects or softwares which can be created and handled in a strategic way. Here the risk evaluation is also proper because we have a dedicated risk analysis quadrant specifically for spiral model. It controls all the phases of development, and more features are added in a systematic way. Now software is also produced early because the development is faster and there is no lack of communication between the customer and the developer, and has room for customer feedback, and changes are also implemented faster because the customer can give their feedback in a phase wise manner. So what can be the disadvantages of using this spiral model? Now, one important thing is that not all of us are capable of doing the risk analysis. For that, we need to have an expert associated for risk analysis. If we are including an expert for risk analysis, essentially we have to bear the cost for hiring or recruiting that person and also pay his salary. So it becomes little expensive while designing this particular model, and it is not beneficial for smaller projects. So as already mentioned, the advantage is larger project, but disadvantage is smaller projects is not of much worth for these kind of models. Then spiral model can go infinitely. This is true because the phases can go on and on and on based on the customer requirement. Now the customer will evaluate, and if he is not satisfied, he will ask for the next version of his software with the necessary changes to be implemented, and we really don't know when the customer might get satisfied to finally get the project or product delivered. Now documentation is more as it has intermediate phases, as we already saw in the activities slide, where each of the phases is associated with the document. It might be either in the form of an SRS or in the form of a report. So this is very important from the perspective that you have to use this particular report or SRS to continuously monitor whether all the features are implemented successfully or not. And basically it is costlier for smaller projects because hiring an expert, then involving the user or the customer for continuous changes might need certain amount of time and money, so that is little expensive for smaller projects. So we also call spiral model as a meta model. Now what do you mean by this meta model? Meta model essentially means that it is a combination model. Now we call the spiral model as a meta model, or a combination of all the models that we have discussed, because it subsumes all the discussed models as of now. When we will look into its actual attributes or the characteristics, basically a single loop spiral represents the waterfall model. So when we are talking about this particular spiral model, suppose this is the single loop. So this single loop will be having all the attributes associated with the waterfall model with the necessary feedback for all its phases. Now next is it uses an evolutionary approach, because once this particular, let's call it as 1, so once this particular spiral is or once this particular loop is over, it goes for the next version of development. So this is essentially a evolutionary kind of development. So when we are talking about evolutionary kind of development, we are essentially relating to the versions of the software. So initially version 1 was there, now version 2 will be there. Again it might go for the next one, which is your version 3, so on and so forth. So it enables understanding and reacting to risks during each iteration along with the spiral. So we have already discussed that the spiral one, each of the loops represents a waterfall model, and since many versions are released, we also call it as evolutionary model. Now it enables the understanding and reacting to risks. Now if we are considering that risk analysis model to be an independent model, then also it consumes or it subsumes the properties of the spiral model. So since it is already a part of the spiral model, we can also consider spiral model as a combination of the risk analysis model and prototyping as a risk reduction mechanism. So in order to mitigate or analyze the risk, we ensure a prototyping type of a development, so that once a prototype is developed and is given to the customer or is analyzed against the necessary input and output, and it is tested, right? So once it is tested against all the environment and the necessary operations and data with it, then that prototype is further developed, or that prototype is discarded and a new prototype is developed, so that once it is properly evaluated and it is given a go sign from the customer, we can go ahead with the actual development of the next phase. So we are also including prototyping as an essential component of this particular model. It retains stepwise approach of the waterfall model. So each of the phases, as already mentioned, since each of the loops already represents each of the phases, so we can also consider that it has a stepwise process, which is basically your waterfall model. So now coming to the comparison of different life cycle models. So there is we have discussed about iterative waterfall model, or let's say classical waterfall model or waterfall model. So since classical waterfall model is not very much used, what do you call that, it is not very much used or very ideally used model, so we consider the iterative waterfall model for development. So it is one of the most widely used model and suitable only for well understood problems. Next is the prototype model. It is suitable for projects which are not well understood, and it is based on user requirements and technical aspects, and based on which we will be developing a prototype, and after a prototype is successful, then only we go for the actual development. Evolutionary model is suitable for large problems. It can be decomposed into a set of modules and then it can be incrementally implemented. And incremental delivery of the system is acceptable to the customer, which means the customer will accept various versions of that particular software. The next is the spiral model. Spiral model is suitable for development of technically challenging software products that are subjected to various types of risks. So we have to understand that it is very important to choose which life cycle model we want to implement for a definite kind of a project. So that is all for today. Thank you.